Hello and welcome back. So now we're actually going to look at some of these bridging exercises. So there are two different bridging exercises, well actually three different bridging exercises that I love to teach. And the first one is just the hip hinge movement. So this is a very functional movement, usually one that we would use to go and sit down in a chair and stand back up again. So that means that the spine stays lengthened and we're really using the hips to lift and lower back down. So I'm going to get Fleur to really think of pushing all four corners of her feet down. She's going to think of pushing her arms down so that they sink in order for the hips to lift. So she's going to exhale to come straight up. And then I'm going to ask her just to stay there for a second and to really feel the back of the hip activating, and just think of her resting at the very top of that spine. So she's not loading onto her neck, and she'll feel a bit more abdominal activity there. And then she's going to slowly release, and it's like she's sticking her bottom out a little bit as she comes down so that she's not articulating through the spine. Okay, so we're going to lift up. And then we're going to slowly lower back down, controlling that movement. Okay, so that's a very functional thing to do. I then like to combine the hip lift with the spinal articulation so that we've got gravity assisting us in making that beautiful spinal sequencing movement. So these two bridging exercises have got very different outcomes. One is functional and the other is for mobilizing. The secondary function in the mobilizing one is that we're going to get a bit more hamstring and glute activity happening just purely because of the position we're putting the spine in. So we're going to do the first part where we're going to lift up. Now I'm going to pause and inhale, and now slowly melt the spine down vertebra by vertebra, opening up all the tension between those vertebral bodies, and then settle back into the neutral. So I would do a few like that before we would start articulating up, because that's actually quite hard to do if we haven't moved through the spine yet. So, articulating from here and coming up, you'll often miss chunks of your spine, but if you focus on the rolling down and getting some mobility through those spinal segments, it will become a lot easier. The next thing that I really like to do is focusing on the hip shift from side to side. And this is a key element for when we're teaching bridge with leg up, because you have to know how to shift your weight to be able to lift the weight of the other leg off the ground. And this is also important for walking. So we're going to just do a hip lift to come up. And now I'm going to ask Fleur to just shift her hips ever so slightly towards you, so that now she's standing mainly on this leg. Then she's going to come back to the center, and then she's going to shift towards the leg closest to me, and then come back, and then she's going to come straight back down. So we want to have that real clarity of shift, center, shift, center. So it's not a pelvic tilt. It literally is, imagine that the pelvis is a bowl of water, and we're going to move the pelvis on the bench top without spilling a drop. Okay, so we're going to do that again. Coming up, we're going to go over. So now we're going to be using that glute med that we worked with a monster walk. Come back, and we're going to come this way, come back, and then come straight back down. Okay, so those are my three favorite bridging exercises that I really, really love to do. And we can only do them if we're not getting any cramping in the back of the leg. So if you are finding any cramping, go back and do some of those other exercises that we've had. Remember to do your tracing so that your brain can remember what to do. Do your adductor stretching, and then try and do this again. So thank you very much for joining Fleur and myself. Please do subscribe below, and if you want more help, please go and check out the link for the Teach Pilates with Confidence Academy, where there are plenty of workshops for you to indulge your curiosity for how does the body move, how do we problem solve certain exercises, and all kinds of other things to do with running a Pilates business. And every month I also do a masterclass with you where all your questions get answered in real time, and if you can't join, it's all recorded and put into the portal, and any questions that come through to me during the month I answer on the day. So I look forward to seeing you here again. We're going to have some fun with bridging in our next and final video about this series.